All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Engineering the Market, coming to y'all from not in, I guess, capturement at this point, but we had a lot of fun with that yesterday. So I wanted to give a little bit of a shout out to all the meme generators. Welcome. It's Wednesday. It is August 17th, 2022. Hopefully, it's been a great overall trading week for a lot of people. We've had plenty of volatility in the market, both across just your generic market moving stocks, lots of good overall range to play through. But we've also had new volatility occurring in, of course, some of the meme or just low high short interest and possibly some gamma related activity in certain particular names. And we're seeing a lot of behavior that's kind of confirming some of those assumptions. So given it's Wednesday, we'll start off with the SPX expected move. And the reason I want to call this out is we're still somewhat mid-range in the expected move. At this point, we're essentially trading middle of the week. Not necessarily odd or unfamiliar to us as traders, but just note that the S&P still has some volatility priced in from the beginning of the weekly session. So if you're marking these levels, you still want to have about 43.56 SPX to the upside and 42.04 SPX to the downside. The one that I really want to focus on is probably our downside target, because as we saw yesterday, the market hit a very key level that's being tested. This is a level that has proven itself to be a stronger resistant zone for the market. And we saw a little bit of short-term rejection in regards to that level, along with some continuation this morning. So we'll want to be aware of where this market could pull into if we see a nice steady pullback from our current rally. So where is this level, and obviously what is it? Reminder, we do have a just generic trend line. All you're doing is anchoring from the all-time high of the S&Ps. You're aligning and connecting to the next sell or buy swing in this point, approximately the April 1st and March 29th trading sessions. Sorry, March 30th and March 29th trading sessions. And then, of course, seeing how the market has responded to this area. Once again, it's more of an area of interest. You could sort of make this a very exact price, but overall, the market is in this zone. And as we add our key moving averages, it should be of no surprise that we're actually looking at a 200-day test as well. This was called out yesterday, something to kind of watch. You usually want to note these things as you get closer to them, simply because as shorter term traders, there's going to be some bigger picture opportunity that may set up here. And even if you're just riding some of that shorter term rejection, the range tends to be a lot more appropriate for, capitalizing on the move. So what sort of rejection are we seeing so far? How powerful is it? And is it something that we should be concerned with at the moment? I would say for now, it's going to be looking a bit mild, simply because we are extended. It's hard to break a trend whenever you're in an extended position, because technically you can move down back into key support zones or previous trending supports, and breaking through them on the overextension is often not going to occur the first attempt. Markets tend to move in sort of those cyclical or wave-like patterns, and it kind of makes sense. You don't break trends off of the highs. You break trends once you reject from highs and then come into your support lows and fail. So really aggressive traders are looking for the overextension simply because they get the best risk to reward. What do they have to deal with? They have to deal with the market fighting them or continuing to move if their location is not exact. What do conservative traders have to do? They have to wait for those signals to set up. And only when they confirm do they necessarily enter into positions. So both of those are very likely to be opportunities, because as we drill down into lower time frames on the S&P, you can see some of this starting to form. Yesterday was more or less the more aggressive entry. And if you were trading with us in the trading room, we were watching this form during my particular session. We talked about how this is not news driven, it's simply market movement and a sort of confirmation bias across individuals, across algorithms, and people participating in a certain way because it's the way the market tends to move. So the surprise here is that we lost a lot of yesterday's rally. We certainly pulled back in very quickly. But additionally, we didn't need a catalyst to do so. We just needed a level. And seeing this is more about anticipating it coming, knowing about it ahead of time, and also trading it actively. For those who were prepared for this, very easy and simple short opportunity in the market, but also a possible swing setup. And the reason I bring that up is we are starting to break yesterday's low. Not necessarily uncommon in this rally, but you'll want to note how infrequent this happens to be. Most of the time, our consolidations are over time, not necessarily pullbacks by price. We did have one during this time frame. You can see a couple of sessions broke bearish, but that session happened to pick back up off of the 200 period on the hourly. So because we're overextended, the market can actually pull in for quite a while, especially if we're looking at the 200 on the hourly being our key moving average support, the one that has actually held all of our swing lows. And this is a point that I want to bring up in regards to intraday trade today. You can see the weakness short term. We're losing very structural trends, ones that are defined by swing high into new swing lows, continuation, and overall just stair stepping. We're losing that structure simply by the fact that we have lost something like the last hourly higher low. That is technically broken. Does it mean that the market's going to pull back significantly from this point? Not necessarily. Usually you're going to get a lot of back testing, a lot of back and forth trade to just resolve any unfinished auction that needs to take place here. And if and only if that auction finishes and we see further volume confirming downtrending or downside activity, we sort of have an idea of risk here, more or less for the next couple days. Imagine if the market simply pulled back to its 200 period on the hourly. What would that be for the S&P? That would bring the S&P back down to about 420. And the reason this is kind of interesting is if we do see this in the next couple of days, it's also coinciding with the SPX expected move. So this confluence of a weekly expected move range, along with the overall structure of the market, allowing these two to kind of coincide at the same time, along with where does this trend truly pick back up bullish? And are we seeing just an extension that needs to come back in? Of which, of course, we'll be looking for things like weekly consolidation. We haven't really consolidated on our weekly rally for 5 weeks. Very overextended just from a technical standpoint, along with our daily trend still intact, but overall can come in quite a bit and not necessarily break. We want to be very careful of those types of overextensions, mostly because the risk to reward in direction of the trend is so unfavorable. the risk downside is quite high. So this is something we've been discussing for a while. I won't really berate the point, but it is lining up at this point in time, and therefore we want to respond to it appropriately. It's also an opportunity that may only showcase itself once or twice throughout the year, of which, if you note previous rejections of the 200-day moving average, they're going to be in this time frame where we sort of reached higher and pulled back in. Very dangerous to be assuming the short, and a lot of people unfortunately got kind of knocked out on this overextension. But you can also see that we came back into it and truly rejected for one of the longer and wider sell swings of the S&P. So it's a notable moving average. It's one that's already aligned to be a resistance point, and it's a down sloping moving average. Very important as well, because you can often have shorter term trends. Obviously our daily and to some degree our weekly trend is bullish. Doesn't necessarily mean that our longer term trend is bullish. We're still in a recovery bounce, and ultimately those are ones that can pull back in. They can sort of back test very heavily towards strong range support, and that downside, or even just that move lower to test, is worth trading. You know, short-term traders sort of salivate at those opportunities when they show. So we also want to make sure that other indices are kind of lining up with this. We talked about the NASDAQ not necessarily being in the same relative location as the S&P, so this is sort of a counter to that being a strong resistance point. The NASDAQ would also need to pull back in around this time, and we're seeing some of that, but ultimately it's not nearly as pronounced as the S&P. Similar concept though. Hourly 200 period is a guide, and I would argue that if you're looking for downside targets, if this pulls back in just to get back into moving average support, the NASDAQ has potential back to about 325. So a moving average target here is very straightforward, simply because we're looking at a repeating pattern. We've seen the market pull in, it tends to bounce around those levels, and then it tends to keep going. Hence, as a short, you want to have that as your first support target in case the behavior continues after the fact. Some other things to also consider is if we go back to the S&P, we pull up something like volume profile, we can start to see how this overextension is defined. Usually you want to have data that encapsulates the entire trend that you're looking to evaluate, along with previous levels, so that you're seeing a more complete volume profile. For this one, I am going to pull up sort of a longer time frame volume profile. What you'll notice, we're coming into a bigger VPOC at this point. Massive value is sitting over our top side, and it's an oversupply that we'll have to eventually get through. Hence, the market tends to want to pull back in before attempting to, I'll say, relinquish that supply from the market. And in doing so, you want to have a lot of general participants involved with the market to basically overcome the supply. Very simple analogy here, but usually if you have a marketplace with a lot of slightly overpriced sellers, you just need more buyers willing to step in, and those buyers might be a bit depleted or depleted if they've been buying up cheaper inventory. You know, so throughout a rally, buyers are buying up cheaper inventory, but it's getting more expensive as the market is repricing itself. In order to get through that large overhead of fair price, you need certain buyers to be participating. So usually the market will kind of reassess during that time, and we evaluate it as a pullback or something akin to a return to lower value. You'll also note that the VPOC that we're maybe targeting in the future is likely going to be tested a little bit more cleanly, moving forward. But a pullback here to a high value node does bring the S&P to about 412. And that's that balance zone that we had broken out from. Hence, be careful of the downside here simply because the drawdown could be that significant. So VPOC is volume point of control. It's our highest volume node in a volume profile study, depending on how much data you are grabbing. So in this case, this data is pulling back half of the year. So it's 180 days. It's, technically not half a year, but 180 days of trade. Therefore, VPOC happens to be about 435 S&P. This will, of course, change as you go into shorter time frames. So pulling all this together, most of our short time frames are overextended. VPOC is much lower. In the case of an hourly, it sits at about a 411. Even something like a 10-day, which is, of course, us seeing the breakout from our CPI data, that, of course, has extended, and the market has simply advanced overall. Hence, pullbacks are going to be necessary and very likely. So, all that said, be on the lookout for that today. It's certainly a tradable event. And as the market wants to pull back in, we can ascertain how strong our supports are as we start to pull back into them and test them. Are buyers really stepping back into the market, or are they actually relinquishing and letting this market kind of pull in much deeper? So, couple of notes about yesterday's trade. I think most people are going to agree the name on everybody's list was Bed Bath & Beyond. So let's see. We did see probably our most volatile trading session in quite a while for BBBY, certainly marked off by the trading range along with the overall volume. And this is very notable because the higher this thing happens to climb, ultimately the more volatile it's likely to be. And this is both true from the price acceleration, but also liquidity. Usually as these assets climb very quickly, market makers are the ones having to catch up to current prices. And they're usually having to facilitate liquidity in regards to people trading at new price levels that haven't been seen in quite a while. So for technical evaluation here, I would argue there is a very notable pivot here. It's not necessarily the reactionary high off of the March trade, but it is where we started to sell off. Basically, this is the high that broke the trend. Therefore, trading into this particular high is going to be challenging for a period of time. And clearing it, especially on something like a confirmed daily trade, would also be very notable. It's a spot in the market that is certainly trying to be breached. Now, yesterday's trade ran right into it, and then of course we saw some halting behavior as we came into that particular level. Market was consolidative throughout most of the afternoon, and we pulled back in. We're already trading back at around 25. And the reason I want to bring up 25 is this is a price level you could have had on deck prior to yesterday's trade. For one, the option market continues to be a strong driver of trade in stocks like BBBY. The reason being is people like to use a little bit of leverage and just derivative products. They also like to pile in with large money. Large money tends to aggregate itself inside of the option market, and you can see these price levels as they form. Now, one thing that's a little notable, 25 was actually much heavier yesterday. So I will want to bring that up maybe on a think back tool, just to kind of showcase what we were looking at yesterday. What I'll do here is just mark off yesterday before the open. Okay. And give myself more strikes. Okay. So we're looking at 25, and we're going to look at volume here. So the things to note here are, one, we traded very heavy volume yesterday. So a lot of that trade, because it's not representing as open interest this morning, it means that a lot of that trade closed. People were literally day trading it using these nodes. And most of that volume is not reflecting as open interest. Hence, unless the platform hasn't updated yet, that actually might be true. Be looking for the open interest to actually update. I'm not seeing, let me see this real quick. Yeah, the open interest is different. So I'm assuming that they've updated it by this point, but I may be incorrect as to when they update. So how could you know about 25 either leading into that rally or potentially as it's trading around it? Because as anyone experienced yesterday, trading BBBY into the top was advantageous. It was good to be momentum trading. There's a lot of volatility. There was even some really good pullbacks, ones that were more parabolic style in nature. And most of them, of course, were bought up for further highs. Once we halted, though, you could tell that the trade changed. We pulled back into about 23, and most of the afternoon session was marked by 25. And that's notable because, one, the open interest was already elevated here. It's just that, $5 kind of halfback price. Two, it's where a lot of the volume traded. Now, people were trading into 30. That's basically setting up for the next ladder or the next rung of a breakout of the high of day. But you could tell that as we were consolidating, 25 was your line in the sand. It was your gravity spot, your VPOC. Basically, all of those sort of core value concepts coincided at 25. And having that price in the back of your mind allows you to be a little careful during that time. One of the unfortunate things I see newer traders do is they see momentum. They assume that that momentum can carry on forever or have sort of a longer life shelf than it's expected. And usually when things are the most volatile, we did halt, so that kind of checks the box. Markets like to consolidate. How they do it or why they do it and even where they do it is often for us to evaluate. But when it comes to something with a lot of participation, the thing that occurs after a rally is often sideways trade. And a lot of bulls can be buying into those levels, trying to keep the price elevated, but ultimately they're not going to get the same move. They're not going to be looking for high of day. They're simply looking for bounces. And unfortunately, what can happen here is the volatility actually dries up. Imagine yourself trading in a characteristic that's different during the consolidation, in a behavior that's the same during the consolidation and not getting the same follow through. Even if you're catching things like bounces, coming into another halt here, pulling into that particular level, and then that basically marking the pennant low for most of the afternoon. The pennant becomes very obvious after the fact. But this is more about the market trading at a key price. So something akin to that. You'll also notice that even with pennant breakouts, they're not necessarily structured well to go for high of day. They're often going to be a little bit of a trap initially, as the market is more drawn to that key price. You'll also notice that losing that key price as we start to sell through support levels can lead to some very significant downside. It's the normal market cycle of uptrend or markup, consolidation, relatively sideways trade, usually around key price levels, and then of course markdown. This is usually after signs of weakness in the market, but it's also true that this is a day trading instrument, and we're seeing a lot of day traders basically profit take into the afternoon session. Hence why some of that open interest is not staying as elevated. We're not seeing those participants carry it forward. They were simply trading on that session. So just some notes for today, but it's also true that you can do this evaluation anytime a stock is in play. If a stock has a good option market and people are using it to trade appropriately, there are going to be levels that are more important than others. They're usually at whole dollar nodes, but really they're where the most participation happens to be. And just like any other volume profile, markets can move away from those levels, get extended, usually in a previous extension that's starting to move higher and higher, but they can also move in the opposite direction and basically become underextended from them. We see some over and under trade at that key level, and then ultimately the market pulls back in, really just coming back into another important spot, which is 20. You know, if you looked at the 20 node, it's equivalent. It's got similar open interest. It's also got similar markings from volume side on yesterday's trade. So it's technically just as important, but we broke from it. So that was more of a breakout level for BBBY as opposed to 25, which we did clear, we halted, and that was of course the most extreme parabolic side of that move. Of course, from that point we consolidated. So these concepts are more to help with staying in a trade longer. It's also true that if you see certain price indicators, understand that the trade isn't necessarily completely over, but what you're going to have to deal with for a while is a time-based adjustment. The market usually will trade sideways, possibly down, but ultimately that consolidation phase will have to take place in order for anything to continue, if it wants to continue. So, you know, BBBY is really not dissimilar from other stocks. It's just way more volatile. It's got way more participation than most stocks on a single day. And of course, there's a lot of people who are interested in it. So many ways to trade this thing, shares, options, and then the like. Be very careful with it. As with most meme stocks, they tend to be some big runners, and that's going to, you know, test people in different ways. But also be careful with the IV. You know, if you're in the option market here, they're pricing this thing accordingly. And if you look at this just from the perspective of expected move, they're pricing it right now to move another $7 before the end of the week. So imagine this thing moving $7 plus or minus from its current price before the end of the week. And technically this is from the close. So they really are looking to price this thing pretty high at about 20, saying that it could go back to 27 or it could go back down to 13. And we're kind of seeing some of that this morning. So just keep that in mind. Markets tend to do things to adjust for the risk. So with all that said, my name is Jared. This is Engineering the Market. We'll talk a little bit more about some of the historical bear markets tomorrow. Trade safe and stay tuned for pre-market prep with Carlos and Norm.
Okay, should be able to hear me now. All right, good morning, guys. Welcome to the pre-market prep. I hope everyone's having an amazing morning. Hope you guys had an incredible day yesterday. Hope your day was as fun and exciting as BBBY. So just insane doing some stuff right now, as we can see. So guys, welcome. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. Let's big thumbs up over to Jared for engineering the markets every morning, taking us through that information on macros and what's happening, kind of what to expect on the overall market for today and the coming week. So with that said, let's jump right in, guys. I'm gonna look over at our gappers list this morning. Well, first, let's do this. Let's look at the stuff from yesterday, starting with obviously the big guy in the room here, BBBY, which is up 36% right now. I mean, this thing is just on fire. I wonder. I know Andrew was traded this yesterday. We saw that, and then I believe he was in at an average of 16. So I wonder if he held that overnight. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, it's incredible, man. So we're getting towards the highs of yesterday's now around 28.50. You did get a rug pull though. If you guys are watching this later in the day, you got a very nasty rug pull here. This happened around what was this 2:30 or so, 3:30. You can see that nice pull there, and then followed by another rug pull right here, all the way down from 27 to 19. Right, so this is where it gets scary. This is why in this area here, trading it here, could be tough. Could be tough because you're getting toppy, and these things can drop very aggressive. So, but nevertheless, today very active, up 37%, just insane. The action yesterday was so clean on this thing. Very, very good. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he said that Yeppy on Twitter that he was holding it at 16, but I just don't know if he actually held past this, right? Because it got pretty close. It got down to 19. So I don't know if he held through this or he said, you know what, it's not a good idea. Because I would have I would have jumped out so fast. Again, different, everybody trades differently. But I wonder if he held through this. The tweet was very early on before this happened here. So we'll see. All right, guys. Another one on deck was Walmart. Walmart, obviously, very active in pre-market, but again, typical Walmart just didn't trail that well, as you can see here. We have Amazon as well that was on the list. Rough start to Amazon, and then just, it looks like a completely different stock. And good morning, no, I don't think I said good morning to you.
Hey,
Good morning, my friend. Hope you're doing well. I don't got your camera up, but
No, that's why I was a second late. I don't know what's going on with my system after that update. I'm having issues once again. So just put up your single
yeah.
view, and
Okay, definitely, man, definitely. Good to have.
I apologize. I'll get it fixed for tomorrow, hopefully.
Oh, no worries at all, man. You're just depriving a lot of people of your face here, man.
My face is puffy. I didn't sleep very well last night.
So here it is, guys. So again, just a completely different stock after 11. It's like it flips a switch, and just look how beautiful this thing trades. Heading north, obviously northeast here, did very well. So again, a very good trader yesterday, very active, very nice range. I mean, the bottom of this 142, the top 146. So again, a completely different Amazon that we've seen the last couple of days, just trying to get over this hump on the daily. If you guys seen that, we had AMD on deck, which had a beautiful drop, guys. Very, very clean, much different than what we saw in the last couple of days, and a nice reversal as well. So again, nice pop there over to the VWAP, and then right almost pretty close to the high of the day as well. So again, just a lot of movement yesterday in many stocks, which was nice. Usually, as we mentioned, it's funny because if you guys remember, yesterday we started off pretty quiet. It didn't look like it was going to be such an interesting day, and it turned out to be pretty amazing. A lot of these stocks trading very well. Apple, very similar to AMD here, not such a big drop. And same thing with Snap. Again, rough start, 11 o'clock, right? We talk about this guy's waiting sometimes an hour or 2 hour and a half. Look at Snap here, just takes off and does very well there. So plenty of stuff that was active yesterday. Let's take a look at what is happening around the market today.
Yeah, we just had retail sales and retail sales ex autos. Real retail sales. Haven't really had a lot going on in the market with that. We've got Fed speakers at 9:30 and 2:30. Business inventories at 10. And the big one for the day are the FOMC minutes at 2 o'clock. So that will be the release from the policy decision 2 weeks ago to increase 75 basis points. That will essentially be an account of their discussions during the 2 days of meetings. So the market can get some insight what the Fed is thinking, and
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting for sure. Here, guys, a spy at
We're
the
memeing,
moment.
dude. I don't recall a time. Look at your gap up list. Look at your gap up list.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you see what I'm seeing?
I see exactly what you're saying. I mean, just
Like,
look at let me bring this into
yeah. Do you know
Zoom
Do you
here.
know what I'm saying? I don't remember seeing in the 3 years that over 3 years we've been doing this. It is over 3 years, isn't it?
I think you and I probably don't remember seeing this neither. Is first of all, look at the short floor interest we're seeing here.
That's the number one thing. I don't remember a time when there was
Ever.
that much short float
It's insane. I mean, there's
in
only
the
what
in the gap up. We're memeing.
there's 3 stocks that are not
Well,
in
and
red.
I don't even know if it's fair to say that because GME, some things would have 23% on a high
Yeah.
short float and
Yeah.
have it red, but I think we have it at 30.
And look at Meg L.
MEGL is a new that's a recent IPO, so we're not going to have that. And QNRX is garbage.
Yeah, yeah. Madness, guys. Madness today. And we're definitely hopefully gonna be enjoying this throughout the day today. Guys, I'd like to look through today. We'll take a look at our gap up list. Our meme. This is a meme scan. I'm gonna change this now. This is a meme scanner here. We'll put that on there. All right, it's a new scanner that we're building, which is fresh out of the box right there. So let's take a look at what's happening here. Obviously, the big elephant in the room is going to be BBBY, just completely insane right now, above the highs from yesterday. Volume is at 18 million already, and we're not even at 9 o'clock yet. I'm going to Control A, Control X this over here. So definitely in play, guys. Again, we cannot stress enough. I know it's not a low flow stock, but how well you have to manage your risk and your size.
When it has that high of a short float, it'll trade like it's a low float.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. And as been touched in the chat over here on YouTube, Paul's saying Ryan Cohen bought options way up there. Yes, I think $60 and $80 strikes on those. What I've heard, what I've seen. I haven't. I don't closely follow Ross Cohen or Ryan Cohen, excuse me. But yeah. That's what's helped light the fire under this.
Yeah, it is crazy. So BBBY, guys, definitely on deck this morning. Again, I'm not going to put it on my low flow because my low flow is probably going to be huge today with all the stuff on here, but definitely memeing. Just be very careful with the size. That's all you really have to do. And again, and I mentioned it yesterday many times, know your experience level. If this is above your head, which it can be, it is for me at times, don't trade it. Don't trade it. Look at something else. We will find other opportunities. There's no need to be, feel the FOMO. Very, very important when you see stuff like this that's on the riskier side, like this one here, APRN, another low flow, not another low flow, but the first low flow of the deck here, 7.2 million. Short interest at 56, not moving a whole lot great, but it's starting to get there. 1.3 million shares traded so far, up 21%. And this is Blue Apron also memeing as well here. So let's see which is the best one out of all of these.
Nobody's still doing this.
Nobody's
still getting these boxes of overpriced food and small portion shipped to their house.
No,
I'm sorry.
No way, man.
That's the reason the short floats that high.
Exactly. So we have Apron here. We have QNRX, which is not looking great. I'm trying to pick the best one because we're not going to watch all these low flow stuff. Sava up 18%, 318, 11. Not great. I like the gap up this morning, but they trade horrible. I had them on my list before. I traded them before, and they have not been great. Now, does Fubo have any news, Norm, or they're also in this situation? Because they tend to have. Well, I doubt it because look at it yesterday.
This is a meme stock again, buddy.
Yeah, I doubt it because I just saw the chart yesterday. Nothing there. Yeah, guys, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to watch BBBY for sure. I think GameStop is a good possible as well. We're going to put this one down here, GameStop, and that's pretty much it. Because if I fill up my list with this stuff, I'm not going to trade. It's just it's going to be useless for me at some point. So BBBY and GameStop on my list so far. You can watch a few of these. Fubo looks pretty nice though. I gotta tell you, this pre-market action looks pretty decent. 3 million shares traded. Maybe Fubo will be another one that we can put on here. Again, guys, off the meme scanner this morning. Let's see what's gapping down today. So on here, we have a couple of tickers on the way down. Let's start with BPMI. MC not looking great, down 13%. The spread on this looks horrible. And if they don't get great volume, they're barely hitting 1 million shares a day on the daily chart, going back to what is this, July, June. So I'm not a big fan of
Yeah,
this,
this
guys.
is a
Yeah,
biotech that had some bad phase 2 trial data come out. So
yeah, no, this is careful with that. So no good there. Uh, Norm's favorite boat here is
the ugly boat company.
the Ugly Boat Company's down 14% after IPO in here. So again, nothing really to see here. I'm surprised you have shares for sure on this thing. Let me see, how much do we have?
You have 4 of them,
50,000. Yeah, it's nothing.
4 shares.
That's nothing. Yeah, so that'll be gone before you know if they've been there. So yeah, so nothing to see there. Didn't trade very well. ZIM this morning, also another one that's down 5.4. I'm not a big fan of the way this trades. We've seen it plenty of times in the gap up and gap down list. Their volume is very funky, although today they're looking at a higher than usual volume in the pre-market, and it looks like pre-market. Okay, they had earnings today, so pre-market earnings August 17 is today. Yep. So no, I'm not gonna add it. I'm not gonna add it. Not gonna make room for that. Today they could actually do something.
No.
But I think that even there's something is going to be horrible. So no good there. SNY moving today down 5.2, 1.3 million shares traded. Again, another stock that doesn't trade very well. The last couple of days, though, very interesting. Look how they usually move here. I don't know what the catalyst is, if they had earnings or what. But look at the last couple of days. They've been getting some pretty aggressive volume
No,
and
it's a
moves here.
lawsuit.
Oh, that's what's costing that. Okay. Okay. So a little bit more interesting. Still not great. I'd rather look at something else, especially like our usual suspect, like we saw yesterday. They all traded very nice. TDOC down 5.4. I'll put this as a possible. It doesn't look great right now, but they tend not to have the best pre-market activity, or not the best. They don't tend to have a good pre-market activity at all. You might get something at the market open depending what is causing this gap down. We'll come back to that. BE is down 4.5, 660,000 shares traded so far. This is Bloom Energy. Short selling restriction already. Bad day yesterday. No. I'm trying to be nice, but no, I'm not gonna add that. IonQ this morning, they are, wow, we haven't seen this in a while. Is this memeing too? Right? Is this a meme stock or what? Because we have not seen this on deck in a long time. So IonQ here down 3.2, 580. Had a big day yesterday. Not sure what caused that. And today they're
They had
gapping down
earnings 2
slightly.
days ago, so then they were in play
Oh, okay.
yesterday, and now
Okay.
they're
Okay, that makes sense.
pulling back.
Yeah, pulling back, but again, I think we could find better stuff to trade. Mara, Mara's daily. I even saw it yesterday, was pretty interesting. So I like the way they're setting up here for a potential short. If we have stocks to short, sometimes Mara could be a little funky. See, that's the problem here. We only have 350,000. That's not a lot for Mara. The price at a stock that's $16. I mean, that can go pretty quickly, and that has been an issue. Mara has been trading very, not very well, but better than they usually do. But there's no shares for short on it, so that's been a problem at times. We'll put it as a possible for now. Plug. What is Plug doing? Is it up to $50 already? This thing is just crushing. Right now they're down 2.9 at the moment, 51,000. But they've been trading very well, although the pre-market has not been clean. If you look at yesterday's action, they had a really, really nice breakout here after 10:30. And then, I'm not going to go back, but a couple of days here, they've also been very, very clean. So good one to keep on deck.
To me, this is a bit of a buy the rumor, sell the news play with with the bill signed into law yesterday.
Yeah. So it could be interesting today, guys. Let's see how that's going to react today. And I agree with you, Norm. It's setting up that way at least because it has ran so much as well, right? Before even everything being kind of finalized there. So adding Plug to the list. We'll see where it goes there. And I am going to stop here. Norm, anything you like on this memeing morning?
No. I've got a terrible night of sleep, so I don't know if I'll even think about trading today. But I like the meme list. I like your meme, your meme scanner.
Yeah, my meme scanner. Absolutely. Let's take a look at Apple looks strong compared to the market drop. Let's see. Apple not doing a whole lot right now, pretty much flat, was lower a few minutes ago. It's just slowly grinding higher here. Kind of stuck here at like 173 at the moment. And what did the SPY drop or something? Yeah, you're getting some action here. We're down, not by much, right? 0.78 here at the moment, so not by a whole lot. Apple could be a good one today. I'll keep an eye on them. They did very well yesterday. They traded very decent. Apple, we'll take a look at our usual suspects. AMD. AMD's got a nice drop today, 1.2. Not a whole lot of volume at the moment. But I definitely like AMD on there. What else, guys? What else, guys, like this morning? SE after earnings. SE, I saw it in the gap down list. They are just brutal, man. They are a horrible trading stock. Yesterday we kind of knew they were going to be in play yesterday. I think, Norm, you mentioned it, right? Yesterday would have been the difference maker, and you saw that here. Insane drop there. I think I had it on my secondary list. I don't think I actually looked at it. So, again, how can you look away from
It was a nice drop.
BBBY?
I'm not a fan of the ticker though.
Yeah. So I think the fun might be kind of done on this one today. You had amazing volume compared to what they normally do. I don't think you're going to get that today. I highly, highly doubt it. Apple, yeah, Apple's on deck, Ben, good there. SECH, as I mentioned, just again, I don't think there'll be a good one today. I think they'll be back to the regular trading, which can be very choppy. BBBY, yeah, guys, be very careful. I mean, what are we doing now? Are we still okay? Wow. 30. Man, high of 30 already. This thing is just insane. So it'll be fun to watch. But again, very careful chasing it here. It's all about timing. And, your timing, if it doesn't match what the stock wants to do at that moment, you can get a nasty surprise. So be very, very careful. No shares for sure, of course. I mean, that'll be a day. Not suggesting you should do that, but be very careful. Nvidia this morning. Yeah, Nvidia, AMD, Apple, they're all very quiet right now. They had a decent drop yesterday and a decent pop right into above VWAP for the most part, very similar. Today they're kind of flat a little bit. Some of them, Nvidia's down 1.6, but I think we just have to wait for them to get going. Nvidia could be a good possible, but I do already have Apple and AMD there, which are probably going to trade very, very similar. BBY Surf Flow 42. Yeah, Mark, but remember that is going to be behind by a couple of days, a week or two. So I doubt, Trade Idea has 102. I don't think that's 102 after what we're seeing now. I think a lot of people are hopefully out of their short, depending where their entry was. So you're definitely, I mean, you're getting to the highs of March and April, right? So let's say you got the best short possible, which was here or here, and you held through this. Hopefully you're out by $4, right? I mean, how close can you get to zero at $4, right? But if you held, yeah, you're probably gonna be questioning whether you should still be in this trade or not. So I think that number's going to drop a lot. We'll look out for that. It's going to drop a whole lot. I don't think it's going to be 102 once the new numbers is released. Okay, anything else, guys, that's not on our list that we should look for? How about over on YouTube? Good morning, guys. BBBY on deck. Fubu, yeah, Fubu's on here also memeing it. It's up 10% this morning. You got some good volume on the 2.4 as well. So that's on my list also. TGT had earnings. They did. I don't trade these well. I personally do not trade these well. Target, I'm not a fan of the way they move. They move very similar. Target sometimes trades a little bit better. Lowe's, I have never traded this well. It's something about their lack of volume that they get. It's just the price action. Everything about it's just not great. So I'm not a big fan, Anthony. And you're right. They're not great traders. I agree with that. AMC this morning, up 1.4. Yes, another one that AMC compared to other meme stock has no love. Not a whole lot of love for AMC, especially yesterday. BBY is taking everything here. So yeah, you could watch this one also. But again, I don't see the explosive volume pre-market right now. Amazon, amazing day yesterday. Let's take a look at Amazon. We forgot about that one. Again, beautiful drop here, and then just a recovery. I know it's not going to reflect on the daily as we're looking at this here, but it did trade very, very well. Again, continue to slam against this one. Previous day close is 144. I was able to get above it slightly right back down. So yeah, I like Amazon today. I think we're going to be hopefully getting a breakout. It all depends if we can get the market to kind of push us there. So guys, not a bad list. BBY plug, Apple, AMD, and Amazon. Let's go ahead and take a look at our community announcements and event coming up for this week and next. And then we'll come back and fine tune this list a little bit more or add to it, because the list is not that long this morning. So Variable Traders, you can go to variabletraders.com, hit on webinars, and this will take you over to whatever's happening for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. So, all right. Every Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern, onboarding and technology with Carlos, especially for new members or trial members. Go there, show up, get you set straight to get started with BBT. Then on Tuesdays, we focus on strategy. Last night was Peter and his lightning bolt pattern, which should be posted soon if it's not already. Next week, 8 p.m. Eastern, we've got Andrew talking about the art of trade management. Following week will be Mike. Or not. Just kidding. Talking about how to find the right strategy for you. That's why we in PCT help people build trade books that suit their own risk tolerances and trading styles. So great webinar there. Then on Wednesdays, we focus on psychology. Tonight, we've got Randy Howell at 8 p.m. Eastern talking about unlocking the hidden potential of your trading mind. Following week, Mike will be talking about creating a psychology journal. Mike's a busy man next week. Thursdays, we've got mentorship, 11 a.m. with John, 4 p.m. with Ed. We might still have earnings trades going on then. We're on the tail end, but we'll see. And then 8 p.m. with Thor. All right. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't been in the chat, use the promo code PreMarket24 to get a discount off the intro membership. That is 7 calendar days. It is non-recurring payment. It's one-time payment, after which it cancels. 7 calendar days, 5 trading days. You get to try things out and see if it's a good fit. And if you would like, you can always join with the Elite Annual Membership, currently half off, 50% off. Use the promo code READ50 to get 50% off, and a free one-on-one coaching session with Dr. Kenneth Reed.
All right, excellent. And I forgot to put the
That's
replay,
all right.
guys. So
StockTradingSimulator.com is our free web-based replay simulator. You can go there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to try and hone your trading skills.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Norm. Speaking of trading, earnings, here's our earnings schedule for this weekend, and we got a couple of okay names. A lot of these reported this morning too, so we'll see what's reporting in the afternoon. Some retailers here. Neo is going to report this evening, so that should be interesting. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the ones that are here now. These companies are
Where
tough
is that,
to
Neo?
trade.
They'll probably report overnight. My guess is there won't be anything to trade on that until tomorrow, but I could be wrong.
Gotcha.
Generally, those Chinese, I mean, you got to figure it's a Chinese company, and when the market closes, it's going to be in the middle of the night over there. So
yeah, will make perfect sense. All right, guys, let's get to it. Let's get to this list. So right now we have BBBY on deck, and they are just crushing it up 35% after a big day yesterday, going from like, what was it, like $14 all the way up to almost 28, 29 there. And today they're crushing it again. So definitely in play. Great volume, 22 million shares traded again. Just be very careful. I like Plug's daily here, guys. I think it's looking very interesting. The pre-market access is a little bit light. I wish they had a little more volume, but hopefully that gets better as the market continues here. Apple getting a little bit active here, a bit of a drop. Is the SPY dropping? Or do they have their own news? Yeah, SPY taking a little bit of a hit here so far. So that's causing Apple, I'm sure, AMD and some others to drop this morning. So usual suspects, AMD, Apple, and Amazon. And then on our secondary, let's have TDOC, which again, we'll have to wait for the market open to see how much volume we're going to get and how this is going to trade. We have Mara on deck, which I like the daily here. The issue with this is, again, no shorts. Usually we have very little available with Interactive Brokers, and Nvidia, another usual suspect stock that's on here. So we'll do levels for these 5, and then if you guys have anything that maybe we could have missed, we can throw it back out, so we'll take a look at it. Dan, TJX really didn't seem to do much yet. These TJX, what is TJ Maxx, lows, and they're not great. They're not great. Even with earnings, I'm not a fan. Here's lows, right? Look at their earnings release compared to like like an Apple, like an Nvidia. Even Starbucks at times, which is not a great intraday trading stock. Where they have their earnings release, they can move. They can move. We've seen them do some pretty decent stuff, but these companies are just not great. Even Walmart, Walmart was okay yesterday too, actually. So not bad. Got a nice big gap up. Didn't do much throughout the day, but did get a nice gap up. Even Walmart will do some stuff, but like a Target, yeah, they're just not the same. All right, levels here, guys. Let's get going. APRN, J-Bones, APRN we looked at, and again, this stock is memeing as well, so you can take your pick. BBBY for me is my favorite out of all of these right now. I mean, this is moving very well. Got to be careful; it's a little bit aggressive, but you have other ones that are memeing that might be a little less aggressive than BBBY. You have Fubo, you have GameStop to a certain degree. No, not really. It's just not there. Just not really getting the volume. So we saw a little bit of action yesterday going from 38 to 46, but nothing near what BBBY is doing this morning and what it did yesterday. All right, let's get to levels, guys. What do we put levels for BBBY? I mean, this thing is it respecting any levels? I don't think it's respecting any levels. I don't think it cares. But it did respect this one going back to about March, right? Right here we had the nice little spike. That was the high of yesterday, so you see that there. I did mark down 29.96, which is seems to be the gap up of March, right? March had this huge gap up here, and it did drop from there. So towards the bottom, we do have 27.06. Let's mark that here on this daily, and then we also have 25.73. And actually, if you look at this in the pre-market, we are somewhat respecting this low, which again a little bit shocking that we're doing that on such heavy volume. But yeah, we are kind of somewhat respecting those. Let's see here, guys, and then the low of the pre-market's all the way down at 22.44. Again, just be careful with this stock. I know I can't stress it enough. No chasing, guys, on this, and just no trading if you don't have experience trading a stock that can move the way this one is moving here. Here is Plug this morning. We are looking at the low of the pre-market. I do like the daily. I know there's not a whole lot of volume, guys, so yeah, this is probably one that we normally wouldn't have on our list, but there's not, unless you're going to be watching some of these lower flow stocks, there's not a lot here that looks great. If you look at this list, if you look at the tickers, I mean, SNY, come on, I mean, TDOC is barely making our list. ZIM, at least the way I trade, these are not really good names. IonQ is horrible. FZRA is gapping down 13%. A low flow stock that's 3 million. That's not something I want to have on my list. So for the way I trade, this is not a great opening start right now, but it will get better. We saw yesterday how kind of weak it looked. I thought it was going to be a pretty crappy day, but it turned out pretty nice. A lot of stuff traded very well. So again, we just might need to wait for our list to kind of build some better trading opportunities here. Unplugged towards the top, you got plenty, right? Plenty of stuff happening here. We've been running quite a bit here on news. Low of the pre-market 28.20. You have 27.57, a couple of days slamming their low of the day there. And then you have 26.33 resistance here and support here. So you got a couple of really decent levels. We do have shares for short. Do we? Yeah, 3.9 million. That's good. That's what we want to see. So at least we're interactive brokers. So that's not going to be an issue with Plug if we do want to take this short. Here is Apple. Apple's just stuck between, let's remove some of these levels. Just kind of stuck between the highs and lows of the last two trading days. Again, struggling a little bit above this 173. The few times we have kind of pushed above that, we've been slammed down for the most part. But within these days, as I mentioned before, you do have some good intraday trading, right? We had a nice little drop and a nice recovery on some of our usual suspect stocks. So that'll be fun to watch today. 172.15 is the low of the pre-market. And then I think you're pretty much set on Apple because you have the levels surrounding you here that are going to be key. You know, if we break out of these, then yeah, we can start looking for other levels. But for the most part, you got some pretty, decent moves here. 172 to 173. You got 172 to 171. So any direction we take here, we can come up with a pretty nice movement within the range that we've been stuck in the last couple of days. AMD, on the other hand, is a little bit quiet as well. 419,000. Low of the pre-market 98.77. Towards the bottom of the range they've been stuck in, right? So if you look at Apple, they're kind of like smack in the middle. These guys are towards the bottom part. Again, not suggesting they're going to sell off, but you are seeing a bit of a drop here, down 1.3 this morning with some decent volume. Towards the bottom of that, if we were to lose this low of yesterday, right, which is sitting right at 98.40, which again, tons of support right on that area. You can see how many days are struggle to get above that here, a little bit of more struggle there, and then you got some support happening as well right at that 98, 91 area. So definitely worth marking down. If we were to lose that, the next clear level that has tons of support and resistance is going to be 95.68, right? You might stop here somewhere. This is more of a minor level, 97.28. You might make a pit stop here, depending how weak things are going to be. But the big level towards the bottom that I see on the daily very clearly is this one right on here, 95.68. Let's look at Amazon. Amazon, 1.4 million shares traded. Did very, very well yesterday as far as intraday trading. If you guys missed it early in the show, not the cleanest drop, but still a very nice drop. Good action here. Loss of the VWAP, opening range breakdown, the 5 minutes. Just a whole lot going on in Amazon. And then here you can see the recovery back to VWAP, and then the run above the high of the day and all the way up to 146 from the lows of 142 for the day. So again, that's a nice run on Amazon yesterday. This morning, they got some good volume. They're down 1.1 so far. Low of the pre-market 142.86. The high of the pre-market we're sitting over as let's go over here. High of the pre-market. What is that? The previous day close? It's like right below it. Yes, right below it at 144.59. But again, look out for the previous day close. That's going to be an important level there, as you can see. All right, so heading down, what else do we have? I think that's it, guys. BBBY, plug, Apple, we have AMD, and we have Amazon. And we have a couple of secondary here. TDoc looking to lose the low of the pre-market right now. Again, scary to trade this one in the pre-market. The spread is crazy. The only way I would trade this one is at the market open when that spread tightens up a little bit more, which it will, especially today that they seem to be gapping down pretty nice here, 5.5, and we can get a move out of this one today. Mara, I like the daily on here, a decent volume, not great. And then we have Nvidia as well, another usual suspect tech company that we can take a look at. But yeah, that's it. All right, what else we got? We're looking at BE. Did we look at BE? I believe we did. I believe we skimmed through it. Yeah, Bloom Energy. Yeah, this thing is active. It is down 3.7. I don't like the lack of volume at times on the daily. It did okay yesterday compared to what they normally do, 10 million. How did that trade? All right, so you got one big drop here, and then kind of did a little something. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of this one. I have seen this before plenty of times. It's been on our gap up, gap down list quite a bit. I'm not a big fan of them. Their pre-market action today, though, does look more lively than usual, right? They have 937,000. They're down quite a bit. Maybe today they can do something. Maybe today this can be our sleeper for today, right? How's the spread right now? 2 cents. Not bad. What's the news on this, guys? What's the news? Let's get the news on this. Let's get a little more information here on BE this morning. So I don't see earnings on this. Let's go to trading terminal. See what we got going on BE this morning. Let's see what's happening here. And if you already know, just throw that out there and I'll take a look at it. See what's happening. So BE here. What do I see? Late Tuesday price, it's 13 million share. Oh, it's a public offering at 26. All right, so I don't know how great that's going to trade. That's not the best. In fact, I think Norm did mention this when we were going through this, if this was the one we were talking about. Yeah, so it's not the best ticker. That's where you're probably getting the volume, not the best catalyst. I mean, yeah, I'm probably going to skip on that for those reasons. Chester, we talked about Target. I am not a fan of the way Target, Lowe's, even Walmart at times. I'm not a fan of the way they trade. I'm horrible at Target. I'm horrible at Lowe's. So I'm going to keep those off my list. They're very active this morning, 893,000. It's just a price action. They tend to have lighter volume compared to the stocks I like to see, like, Apple, AMD, a plug, even Walmart, when they play, can have a little better volume than Target. So it's just the price action is a little bit funky. So definitely in play today. They're down 2.8. We're down a lot more than that, all the way down here to 162, back up to 175. But for me personally, it's a stock that's in play, but not one that's going to be on my list. BBBY, awesome pre-market activity. Yeah, it's been insane. I mean, we've been down to, what is this? 24. Right, 24 is the low. We went all the way up to 29.96, and now we're getting a little bit of a pullback to 26.96. Yeah, it's been crazy. It's been wild. What do we have here? Green is asking, hi Carlos, what is the easiest way to tell if a stock is moving with the market or individually? Example, Apple today. That's a great example. This one, obviously, BBY is moving on its own. Right? You could tell it's doing its own thing. Doesn't care what the market is doing. There's a few that are doing their own thing today. The fastest way to know that is if you have a big catalyst, right? So if you have the market for example, is up, 2% or down 2%, but you got a catalyst on Apple and the stock is up 5, 15%, whatever it is, obviously that's moving on its own. If Apple doesn't have any major news, which I'm not aware of any major news, it's not going to be moving on its own. It's just not going to do that. Only a real strong catalyst can move things on its own. Or if you start memeing, if you're memeing like this, like BBBY, then yes, you can move on your own aside from the market. But for the most part, you're moving with the market, right? This is why the gap, the list that you're looking at is sometimes very small. Like if we were to take out stuff that did not have a catalyst here, we'll be stuck with probably Plug and BBBY. Because Apple, AMD, and Amazon that I'm aware of, they don't have anything that's making them move on their own right now. They're just moving on volume and moving with the overall market. This is why you're seeing them down 1.3, 1.1, right? Right. You're not seeing a whole lot happening there. TDOT, it has a catalyst. So this is why it's down, 5.7. The other ones really do not, right? And you see the ones that are gapping up, right? The market is down, what, 1 point something? A little bit less than 1%. Anything gapping up is obviously moving, separate off the market, right? Obviously, we have our meme scanner here this morning, so that'll be a way to tell that. And also, if you're gapping down, for example, right, the market is slightly weak today. If you look at a stock like FZRA or ASLE, these are gapping down huge. I mean, this thing is gapping down 13%. Not saying it's a great trade, but this stock is moving on its own. There's no way, the market's not going to make this gap down. So even though the market might gap down and you might see stocks gapping down, anything above like a 5%, is usually has its own thing going on. So I believe that everything up here, all these 5%, 6.3, 6.4, they have their own catalyst, right? And in some cases, it's just not a catalyst. It's like FZRA. It ran up so much for no reason. It's just IPO, right? It just ran up here. Well, not ran up, but probably pre-market all the way to 14, then back down to 8, back up to 10. This is just moving on its own madness here, right? So those are easy ways without doing too much research that you can find why things are moving on their own. What's the news on TDOC? TDOC, was it earnings? I know they have something. TDOC, was it earnings on TDOC? No, it was not, but they definitely have some news. They're down 5.7 this morning. There has to be something causing that drop because especially these guys, they don't move a whole lot. They had a gap down not so long ago here. This was earnings, right? So this was the earnings on July. And then today they're gapping down 5%. But if you look at their chart, they're not moving a whole lot, barely any volume. I guess so they must have some kind of news. Downgrade. Stefan said downgrade. Okay, that's probably it. That's probably it on that. Thank you. Yep, downgrade, Sean as well. Yep, excellent. So there you go. And the more you're watching these tickers and these gap ups and the gaps down, the more you watch these charts, you're gonna start picking up on a lot of these things, right? They'll just come second nature. I mean, a lot of us in the chat been doing this for quite a while, so it just becomes really easy to spot. Like, I think all of us by now, we could look at a stock and say, okay, this is a buyout, right? Just based on the pre-market action that you're seeing, because it's kind of easy to spot some of these things. SAVA, large purchase by a director of the company. SAVA, okay. Yeah, they're gapping up big, 19%, which is nice. And this happened last night here. And anything else besides just a big purchase? Because it's happening right at the close. They might have had earnings last night too. No earnings. All right. So yeah, so the big gap up here at the close. And again, there's no excitement in this pre-market, right? You got 335,000. No shares for sure, which I would have been if I'm interested in anything in this one, it's shorting it. But yeah, there's no shares for sure where I'd be. So yeah, definitely not one that I'm interested in because I don't see myself trading something that looks like this in the pre-market. It's just not looking interesting at all. Will Nvidia short yesterday? Okay, so you're asking there. TDOC is good. We got some of our moderators coming in with their list already, so we'll take a look at that. Actually, a lot of moderators, now that I scroll down the list, have their list. So let's take a look at that, and then we'll see what others are watching this morning. Let me resize this for you here. As I'm doing this, hit that thumbs up over on YouTube. We appreciate it very much. Take a look at what our likes look like today. 145. Okay. We take what you give. It's okay. Let's take a look here. Let's resize this. and see what our moderators are looking at this morning. So disable video. Let's bring this over and see what we got going on. All right, let's meet. There we go. Okay, perfect. All right, let's bring this over here. Let's see what's happening, guys. We have Eamon, DKNG, Disney. Mike, he's looking at a potential shorts, by the way. Mike is looking at Amazon, Apple, Target, and then secondary for fun, BBBY, and GameStop, of course. No IPOs and no SPACs for today. Thor will be looking at SAVA, Roblox, DKNG, and Disney. How about the run on DKNG, guys? The run they had in the last couple of days has been incredible. Secondary list SPY, QQQs, and then, of course, the pivot alert bot on deck there. Here we have Peter, AMD, Apple, Target, and then secondary list Amazon and BBBY. Susan will be looking at SPY, Qs, Apple, and then secondary list BBBY, Sava, Disney, and AMD. So that's what we have here so far. Let's take a look at DKNG, because I know they had an incredible run, man. Just they continue to slam higher here. Pretty much flat right now, but doesn't mean anything. They had a lot of days where they started like this and they traded very well into the market open. Look at it yesterday, though. Yesterday was a rough start. Talk about waiting on this. Just nasty all the way into about maybe 10:30 or so, 10:45. You start getting a little bit much better action. Volume is less, but you still trade a whole lot better than what you did here in this first part of the morning here in DKNG. So again, guys, this tells you, I have a rule. If I get stopped out 2 or 3 times, in a matter of a couple of minutes on the same ticker, I just stop trading it, and then you just gotta just wait for it to set up, or just skip it completely and look at something else.
Absolutely.
All right, hey, go ahead.
I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah. You want to save that ammo. Here is Brian, guys. Brian with his list today. TDOC, ZIM, BBBY, AMD. Oops, went too big there. And then here we have Megan with her list as well. PayPal, Roku, and TGT this morning. So
be sure to not forget that the LA meetup / seminar taking place this Saturday. Megan will be doing a presentation entitled Trading PayPal.
Very nice.
That is her AMD.
Yeah, it's on her list all the time. I agree.
I'm just kidding, Megan.
I agree. No, but it is on her list all the time.
Yeah, it is.
I don't think she takes it off her list. I will kill you. Megan. But she will be doing a presentation, guys. Not called that, but she will be doing one, which I'm sure will be a lot of fun. What do you think about Nvidia hitting significant levels for a short? I don't know, man. I don't know. Nvidia hitting for a short. It all depends on the overall market, man. I mean, yes, it looks good here. You're hitting this area of support that we can drop. Resistance that can now become support. If we drop that, could be a nice drop there. But we'll have to see, man. These things are not trading on their own. Just going back to that conversation, right? They're all just following the SPY and the Qs. And how many times we've seen the SPY do this and bounce, right? Get back into green. Yeah, that's what I would like to see instead, actually. I'll have more faith in that than a drop here below this. So
I will say, I mean, it's a little concerning seeing the markets pulling back like this. It's not surprising. We've now put 5 green days in a row on SPY. So yeah. It's got to pull back at some point.
I mean, look at the run, guys. Look at the run. We took a little break over here for a couple of days. We gapped up and we ran again. I mean, yeah, you got to take breaks, right? You see that across the board here a few times. But this run in July and into August has been pretty amazing.
We've had 4 green weeks, 5 green days. It's been a hell of a run since the beginning of July.
We almost had a red week here, but we recovered nicely. And just look at this. Just very, very nice. All right, guys, that is our time. Thank you so much for joining us over on YouTube. Hit that thumbs up if you hadn't had the opportunity to do so. We appreciate it very much. We like to be within 250 to 300, sitting at 187 right now. We'd love to get up there if we can. But thank you, guys. Again, be very careful, guys. There's a lot of stocks on deck today in our meme scanner over here that are very, very risky. So again, please be careful. Remember your
Reddit
skills.
trade ideas. We can just put up Reddit.
Yeah. Be careful with these. No FOMO. Know your experience. If you're not experienced, just bypass them. You can trade something else and make good money. So careful, guys. Take care. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.
Take care, guys. Trade safe.